It's not anointed. You have seen. Thank you very much. Wow. Glory to God. Thank you very much. Thank you. Can you feature? Thank you very much. Papa Olusegun Obasanjo, thank you for coming to Zimbabwe. We acknowledge you, we honor you, and we are proud of you as Africans. Thank you very much. I also want to acknowledge my brother here, Greg Mills. I've read a lot of his books, and I must say they are very inspiring. Thank you for the good work. I read a book that is very interesting on how nations normally have problems, and I read it very keenly and very useful. I also want to acknowledge my brother, Tendai. A prophet is not with enough honor in his own homestead, because we don't acknowledge, but I want to acknowledge you. Thank you very much for the great work. Let me also acknowledge Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the United States of America, Honorable His Excellency Brian Nicole. Thank you very much, and other esteemed ambassadors here present, whom I have not recognized by name. Allow me also to acknowledge the senior leadership, our members of parliament from the party that we lead, and allow me to acknowledge also leaders from other political parties who are here present. I've seen a couple of them, and I acknowledge them. I also want to acknowledge our one of our eminent citizens in the country, Dr. Goodson Guni, who is here present, my brother and the esteemed colleague in the intelligentsia. Doctors who are here present, and members of the civic society. Allow me to acknowledge you. I also see two boys there. Thank you very much for coming. Well, my task is very simple. My task, Doctor, is to appreciate this great book. It is a great book. I've gone through it. This book is particularly important for us in Zimbabwe for the simple reason that we have certain systemic and organic challenges that we are facing. And this book is a manual, not just for democracy, prosperity, is a manual for developmental states, is a manual. This book, particularly when one has regard to our circumstances. Yes, I must not talk politics, but we have a circumstance where we must be able to then return to full democracy in the country, where we must return to full legitimacy in the country, where we must be able to adopt a comprehensive set of reforms that are going to entrench our democratic practice. To have this book, which is going to help us. When I looked at the title, I said to myself, Democracy Works. Is it that you are saying that democracy does work, or you are saying that there are works of democracy that we must take note of? It's an ambiguous title, but I think for a good reason. And I think it does then incite you to read the book. We have very serious circumstances in this country where we have a very divided nation. In fact, I don't believe that we have a nation, we have a country. We don't have a nation, because a nation must have strong institutions. We don't have those institutions. A nation must have citizens that are effectively being regarded and reconsidered. We don't have citizens, we have subjects from the perspective of our rulers. So we must be able then, in the context of our situation, going to find this book very useful. President Obasanjo, we thank you. Greg, we thank you for this book. Tendai, thank you for this effort. Part of the biggest problem in Africa is not just that we celebrate big men ahead of big ideas. We also have the problem of not writing. We believe archaeology a lot and oral tradition at the expense of being able to put things in writing. The reason why we celebrate Aristotle and Plato is because Aristotle and Plato wrote, but our great-grandparents were better in ideas and wisdom. But they were busy, around the fireplace just chatting, and along the way, the words were carried away, and in some cases eroded and forgotten. So we need to start the culture of writing books. So this is a positive culture for Africa. We can't have strong institutions without strong ideas that are written by fellow Africans. So thank you for this very wonderful enterprise. It is going to go a long way. We are in a dispensation where we must just move away from mere liberation politics to transformation politics. Yes, the liberation was very important. We must never forget it, but we can't be entrapped in it. We need to start focusing on transformation, building on the foundation of this liberation narrative. But to be able to do that, these books are very important because they are building blocks to what we want to see and what we want to achieve. So you have really contributed to the arsenal of the tools, the toolkit of democracy in our country. And we hope that for those of us who are the alternative, we also don't imbibe from the corrupted wells of autocracy. It's very easy. A lot of books have been written about autocracy, and these books are very lucrative. That's why you find that some people are actually copying from those books, and that is what we want to run away from, so that we emphasize democracy. In our country, you are aware that the current government, and I'm not attacking them, but I'm just stating facts, have literally copied lock, stock, and barrel what we fought during the Smith regime. From the Rhodesian Broadcasting Corporation, they now have the Zimbabwe, what is it called?
Broadcasting Corporation.
Yes, the ZBC. The second one, from the Law and Order Maintenance Act, now we have the Public Order Security Act. They have not changed anything, including the Cabinet House, the Cabinet Room. The same that was being used by Smith is the one that they are using. The Parliament building that was being used by the Rhodesian regime is the one that is being used by the current government. So you see that there has not been any change of institutions, because institutions are more important than just personalities. And this is what this book is all about, to emphasize institutions and to be able to then look at the laws so that we have a constitution that is implemented, not a constitution that is just there in name. We have constitutions without constitutionalism. And I hope that this book will help us to be able to deal with those issues. I don't want to waste a lot of time. I can assure you that this is going to be a very useful book. For some of us who are young on the continent, we believe that we need big ideas ahead of just big men. And we have had too many big men. One of them, Mr. Mugabe, just having gone, we have another one who is coming. And he seems to be copying lock, stock, and barrel, what the former big man has been doing. Thank you very much. We want to celebrate you and to thank you for this wonderful. And I'm being asked to launch. You know, when there's a higher authority, it's always difficult to pretend to be his treasonous. President Obasanjo, I'm sure. You'll be patient. Indeed.
You know, in my part of the world, we have it saying, the young shall grow. And